Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second to last episode for the census series, at least as I would imagine it, and there's not really much else to discuss, and I don't come up with anything new. Um, Cubic root rule is one of the additional rules within political science to grow the number of the represented body, so the lower chamber, within various nation states, and it's dependent on the population of the nation as a whole. So what it does is basically it creates a moving system in which the number of representatives increases as the population increases. So in order to keep it at a reasonable number, they take a cubic root. So what does that mean? Well, we have a number, and if we cube it, so to the power of 3, then it needs to be equal or higher to the number of people in the nation. So what happens here is as soon as the cubic number exceeds the population, that's the number you write down. So in particular case, the theorem is that the first number that exceeds the population, so p to the power of 3 exceeding the n to the power of 3 exceeding the population, so p, the lowest number, that's going to be the number that you pin it on. So in this particular case, 692 congressional districts is not enough because it's just shy about 70,000. You add 1 to it, and then you're above it. So we have 693 congressional districts. So what happens? 693, but we take 50 off because every single state has one reserved. So it's 643. And we can check it here. And a line is drawn at 643. Easy, right? So what happens? There are a bunch of states that get additional seats. So for an example, Alabama gets 4 extra congressional districts. Alaska gets 1. So at this point, we can only find that the state of Wyoming has 1 congressional district and the state of Vermont has 1. Every other state receives at least 1 district. Sorry, Rhode Island stayed stationary, but they already have a congressional district, same with Montana, so they don't move. But every other one that had 3 congressional districts now has at least 1 more. So that's something to take into account. We also see in this particular case that Texas is at 63 congressional districts and California is at 85. New York and Florida, they almost reach 50. So this is the kind of boost that a lot of states need. And we also find that with this and drawing the congressional districts, there's going to be a lot more of a fairer representation in each individual state. So what we find in, for an example, Illinois, is we currently have drawn 17 districts, and with the election only 3 of them are Republican. Every other one is Democrat. And there's only 2 competitive districts, basically. With drawing 27 congressional districts, so an additional 10, we'll find that there are a lot more districts that you can draw more favorably. Even in a gerrymandered kind of sense, you can still have about 8 Republican districts. It's kind of mandatory to have 8 at that point. And with Texas, you basically see the same thing. So instead of having like 12 Democrat districts, it becomes about 20. With California, instead of having 10, maybe 11 Republican districts, you now get 20. So it's a much more fairer system. Here's the thing, we don't take into account illegal immigrations, but with this one, we find that the number of population decreases. And in the case of Statista and Pew Research, they have the same number of seats, namely 685. So there's a new Congress aligned to it. I don't really want to name every single state that gets seats. You can pause the video, you can zoom in, that's pretty fine to do. Or in the case that you want, I can send you the individual data points. I'm not going to give you the exact spreadsheet like this because that is something that is just out of my line. That is not available for you unless you pay. Easy choice, right? Fair. There's an additional 6 congressional districts removed because the number of illegal immigrants in this particular case is about double. And what we see here is not much change. So we have Wyoming staying at 3, we have Vermont staying at 3, and every other state gets at least 1, with the exception of Rhode Island. So again, same system applies. So this basically concludes the cubic root rule. There's not much to talk about additionally from this. And thank you kindly for watching. See you around next time. Cheers.